Day 35 of Noom, July 30th, 2020. My weight went up a skosh, and it's okay. It's just a data point. I do, of course, like it when it goes down, but when it goes back up, we'll acknowledge it and move on. My son will give me hugs several times a day, which I love, especially if I'm on a conference call or whatever. He's learned that it's okay to interrupt me with a hug, and I enjoy that dearly. He's 13 years old and he still wants to do the hug thing. It's fantastic. And of course he'll say, I love you, and I'll say, I love you, and he goes, I love you more. And he's like, no, you don't. I say, yeah, I do. I love you infinity and beyond. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Whoever has the power of the tickle, that's who loves the other one the most. And then, of course, I prove it to him because I can. And that's the point, is whoever can tickle the other one. Because, some people you can't tickle. They fight it off, or they should just shut down that part of them or something. They're just stronger. But then you have people that can tickle other people. And I can always tickle my child, and he can never tickle me. And so, the person that loves the other person the most is the person that has the power to tickle and doesn't. That's how much I love my child, as I hold back the tickle. Unless he challenges me. And then it's game on. My wife hears about this conversation I'm having with my child, and she looks at me and she gives me that look that she has that says, oh, really? Because I know someone that can tickle you. And yes, my wife can always tickle me. She has that power over me, and she abuses it from time to time. So yes, my wife loves me more. As a matter of fact, if we're saying goodnight and all, I'll say I love you less, and she knows what that means. It's kind of fun to do that in public because they have no idea what that means. Like, she'll say I love you, like I love you less, and she knows that means she's more powerful than I am. That's what that means. It's our little term of endearment. So back to data, my doctor called me, and isn't that cool? The doctor calls, not a nurse, not a service, but the doctor calls with the results, and he wants to talk through it. Normally, when he has these phone calls, I'm like, yeah, whatever, yeah. You're obese. And here are all the numbers that say you're obese. And I don't pay attention to them. I just don't, because I don't want to acknowledge them. But now, because I'm acknowledging all my metrics, I need this data to move forward. Okay, what do you got? He said, well, your A1C. And I was like, wait a minute. A1C, you're talking about diabetes. Are we talking about diabetes? He goes, man, you are just over the threshold for your A1C, but your blood sugar is low in comparison, so he's not willing to call it diabetes at this point. He said it takes 2 in a row before he'll call it. So I'm going to go back in 6 months and do another blood panel. This is data. It's also a wake-up call. I have been on the cusp of diabetes for probably my entire life. And I'm sure my family, who already has diabetes, they have probably just looked at me out of the corner of their eye, not openly, but how is it that I have diabetes and that big fellow over there doesn't? You'd think if there was someone to have diabetes, it'd be that guy. And I haven't had it. So, This is my new incentive. I am obviously staring at the very edge of this cliff, and Noom is going to help me back away, like into the hedge, like, oh no, this is not where I need to be. And that's what he said. He said, your triglycerides are high, but it's because you're so massive. And your LDL's good. It's not hitting the threshold. It's below. Your overall cholesterol is a little high. But if you keep on your diet, then you should be good. And I said, it's not the diet. He goes, that's right. It's your passion, because we talked about that. And it is. I feel like if it's a diet, in my mind, I'm going to say, I can't do this and I can't do that. And those limitations will work against me negatively. But by thinking of it as a path and a structure where I can put all the pieces in place and manage my health and make it fun, it's a completely different lifestyle, and I enjoy it. I enjoy waking up and walking to the pool and swimming several hundred meters and walking back and tracking all that data. I enjoy that. That's what makes it fun for me. I enjoy knowing what I'm going to eat and when I'm going to make it and how I'm going to schedule in certain types of foods. I enjoy seeing on my food journal that the majority of the foods that I ate today were green and the next one were yellow, and I only had 200 calories in red today. Those data points are where I get pleasure. Like the notifications you get on Facebook or whatever, they set off, I guess, these endorphins. I don't know the scientific term. I think is what it is. But I get that same elation from hitting marks on this plan. So now I've got some new data. That's my new incentive. I am charged up more than I was before. I want to make sure that I step away from the cliff, and thank God that I don't have to manage diabetes. Hopefully. In 2012, I had a reconstructive surgery on my left foot. I had injured it many, many years ago. Ended up snapping all the time. Like I'd be walking along and boom, it'd snap upside down and you could hear it across the parking lot. It sounded like a thunder crack, and extremely painful. I finally had the surgery. All the ligaments were shot. And the way they repaired the foot took hours. But it involved shaving down the big ball part, the talus, I think it's pronounced right. Removing the ligaments that were there, which had turned into cheesecloth, and then drilling 2 holes on the top of my foot and putting parts in my foot that are from a cadaver. So I have a cadaver foot. And that cadaver foot is actually another incentive as to why I want to live my best life while I am on this earth. I do believe when I die that I'll be saved and I go to heaven. What I don't know is if the foot will go with me, because I don't know whose it was. I have a huge fear that I will be the only person in heaven on a knee walker because I only have 1 foot. And I thank the people at Noom for putting this program together, which will help me accomplish that.